Hey, this is Steve with Real-Time Music Solutions, and today we're going to take a look at tempo events in Sinfonia 3. Right now, we're viewing the instrument mixer. Let's click on the tempo window and enter edit mode. Here, you can see the different tempo events you can drop into a song. Auto-tempo, click, go play, and GaTempo, a new hybrid feature. Let's start with auto-tempo. During autoplay, when the playhead passes over this event, tempo will revert to the recorded value. Thus, you could plan to tap a specific section and then place an auto-tempo event directly after that section. So when you finish tapping and hit play, the recorded tempo will take over. Let's see it in action. First, let's check to see what the underlying written tempo for this song is. We can do this in a couple of different ways. We can see the current written tempo at the center of the tempo window. We can also see it in the tempo inspector. And if we flip to points view and select the single tempo dot in the grid, we can see it defined here in the location guide as well. So let's place an auto-tempo event at measure 5. We can see the playhead here. It's parked on the very first beat. Let's move it to measure 5. Now, if I hit the auto-tempo button, we can see it appear in the timeline. I'll rewind the song, and before starting, explain exactly what I'm about to do. I'll start to tap via either the spacebar or my MIDI keyboard, and I'll waver my tempo greatly, going fast, going slow. Be sure to notice how the current tempo shifts as I do so. Then, after I tap the last beat of measure 4, I'll hit the play button, either on the MIDI keyboard here or the function key on my QWERTY keyboard, F8. One thing we're missing is the rhythm window. This gives us the underlying beat pattern to tap. And I'll go ahead and switch back over to region view so that we can see the auto-tempo event. To make some space, I'm going to go ahead and fold it in the MIDI keyboard. Here we go. As you can see, due to the auto-tempo event, we reverted to the recorded tempo of dotted quarter note equals 132. What happens if we go without the auto-tempo event? Let's delete it and restart the song. Click on it and hit backspace or delete on my typing keyboard. And I'll rewind to the beginning of the song. And let's tap. I'll purposely tap very slow. And hit play. As you can see, the tapped tempo is carried through rather than reverting to the recorded tempo as would happen with an auto-tempo event. The next tempo event in line is the click. This feature is pretty simple. It turns on and off a metronome click. Of course, you don't want your audience hearing the click, so we've included a preference to send it to a different output. On Mac, you find preferences under Sinfonia. On Windows, it lives under Tools. Go to the Click tab, and as you can see, based on whatever audio device you have plugged in, you would want a multi-channel device if you plan on using the click and sending it out to a different output for your band. You would select it here. I myself at the moment, due to the screen recording, have only one output. Let's see it in action. I'll go ahead and zoom into the timeline a bit first. Now, if I make no selection in the timeline and hit the click button, the click will start at the beginning and go through the entire song. For demonstration purposes, let's just do a few measures. Let's rewind and hit play. The click will defer to the time signature's denominator, in this case 6/8 notes for 6/8 time. In future, you'll be able to open up the event and select a different duration if you want, say dotted quarters or whatever you think is appropriate. As you heard, the click started at measure 2 and ended at the end of measure 3. Go ahead and delete the click, rewind, and let's talk about the next event, go play. If you have a section of a song where you know ahead of time you'd like to jump in and tap and then afterwards keep that tapping momentum going automatically, you would use this feature. Let's create one at measure 5. Now what I'll do is begin to tap, laying down my own tempo, and after I tap the first beat of measure 5, I'll just stop tapping. Here we go. Now the autoplay will continue at the current tempo until the playhead either hits a new written tempo or the player begins tapping again. Finally, we have GaTempo, a mix of Go and auto-tempo. You can use this event if you know you'd like to tap a specific section, and when you reach another section, stop tapping and have the autoplay revert to the written tempo automatically. Let's go ahead and drop one at measure 5. So, just like the Go command, I will go ahead and tap into measure 5 and then stop. And I've stopped tapping, and it picked up the underlying written tempo of dotted quarter note equals 132. And that about does it for tempo events. If you have questions on tempo editing as a whole, please see our SF3 tempo editing video. Art doesn't live on a grid, and with Sinfonia 3, your unique production doesn't have to either. Once again, this has been Steve with Real Time Music Solutions. Thanks for watching.